Baptist birth. Joseph Cafasso was born at Castelnuovo d'Asti in the Piedmont, Italy, of peasant parents. He studied at the seminary at Turin and was ordained in 1833. He continued his theological studies at the seminary and university at Turin and then at the Institute of St. Francis, and despite a deformed spine, became a brilliant lecturer in moral theology there. He was a sought-after confessor and spiritual advisor and ministered to prisoners working to improve their terrible conditions. He met Don Bosco in 1827 and the two became fast friends. It was through Joseph's encouragement that Bosco decided his vocation was working with boys. Joseph was his advisor, worked closely with him in his foundation, and convinced others to fund and found religious institutes and charitable organizations. Joseph died on June 23rd at Turin and was canonized in 1947. His feast day is June 23rd. A woman was fatally shot in the head on a Queens Street in broad daylight on Monday, cops said. Crime continues to skyrocket in New York, with it becoming a major part of the New York mayor race. Andrew Cuomo getting into the race was a major surprise for New Yorkers, but received a major endorsement recently from former President Bill Clinton. The New York mayor race now holds 3 areas for people to decide on whether or not they want a progressive, a moderate, or somebody in the independent sphere like current New York Mayor Eric Adams is. Eric Adams is running as an independent this time on the New York ballot, and has received much less Democrat support than someone like Andrew Cuomo. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News. I'm Magdalene Rose for the Crusade Radio Network, seeking news and finding truth.
You won't hear anything about Monday's coming or fruitcakes, but you will hear the most brutally honest Catholic-inspired commentary on Parrot Talk, weekdays after the KingDude at 2 Central on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
By the time Mark Levin is done with his scorched earth war against everyone who's ever told the truth about the neocons, never-ending war, the first cult of Ziontology, and all the rest of it, he'll actually have to go to Iran and make war on actual real Iranians, because that's all that will be left. Greetings to you, Crusaders, across the amber waves of cultural restoration. Mike Churchill's on here on the Crusade Radio Network. The Power Hour, as it's known, is on, asking the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire. For a safe and secure society.
You tell them I'm
line telephone number 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, I am KingDude at protonmail.com or KingDude at protonmail.com. Crusader Stadium chat room is open and buzzing today at crusadechannel.com/chat. You'll need to be a Founders Pass member to take advantage of that. And you will need a Founders Pass membership coming up on August the 4th. If you want to listen to all 3 or 4 hours of this show every day, then go sign up today while you can still get it for $2.88 a month. crusadechannel.com/join. I'm just laughing at watching these neocons just crash and burn over their beloved First Church of Ziontology, Israel. This just out, just moments ago, from the high priestess, one of the high priestesses of the First Church of the Cult of Ziontology. That's Nancy Mace. By the way, I'm alumni of the Citadel should come out and inform everyone that just war theory actually was taught at the Citadel, and that there are dozens and dozens, if not 100 years worth of Citadel graduates that actually aren't insane priests or priestesses of the cult of Ziontology, as Mace is. If I was a graduate of the Citadel and she was claiming to be an alumnus or alum niche. Did I say that? No, I didn't say that. Was a Trump. I just did a Trump. I tell you what, she's an alum niche. That's what she is, alum niche. I would want the world to know that. No, they're good men, and they came out, maybe even some good women that came out of the Citadel. Free Palestine Charleston condemns Mace's No Amnesty for Hamas Sympathizers Act. You're going to go to the floor of the United States House of Representatives with an act that prevents sympathy, or whatever that is called, which could be covered under free speech, under the First Amendment, against people who are Hamas sympathizers. I don't know anyone that is a Hamas sympathizer. Miss Mace, I do know literally thousands of people who are Palestinian sympathizers, and there's nothing wrong with saying you're a Palestinian sympathizer. The Palestine was filled with all manner of people. It was very diverse. There were Muslims there. There were Shia. There were Sunni. And there were Christians. Lots of Christians. There were Catholics. I say were. We did a good job of killing them all, or allowing them all to be killed through our foreign policy. But Palestine, if you get an old map, prior to 1948, if you get an old map of the way the Holy Land used to look, you'll notice that where the holy sites are, where our Lord was born and lived and preached and was crucified, died, and was buried and resurrected and then ascended, you'll notice that that is called Palestine. This idea here that there's something wrong with Palestinians, and I'm not saying there aren't bad Palestinians, because I'm certain that there are. There are bad Americans, too. But this idea that everything Palestine has got to be demonized, what the hell is wrong with you? Can we get the No Amnesty for Sinaloa Cartel Sympathizers Act? Can we get the No Sympathy for Tren de Aragua Sympathizers Act? Can we get the No Sympathy for Pederasts, Convicted Pederast Act? These people, I'm telling you, this is a sci-fi movie. They are literally programmed to be shills, almost like they are paid foreign agents of a foreign sovereignty known as Israel. In Lindsey Graham's speak. They can't even pronounce it correctly. It's Israel, the Bible people, To Lindsey Graham and Mason, the rest of these clowns, it's Israel. I just thought I would pass this on. Also, no intervention. She's not a Scientologist. Another thing that drives me nuts about some of these people, the ones that will wear their ersatz Christianity in the form of a crucifix. Can always tell when it's one of them that is like, I want everyone to know I'm like a Christian and stuff, because look at me, I have my necklace with the crucifix or with the cross on it and stuff. You will almost never see, almost never, not that's not foolproof, but almost never, you'll almost never see any of these fake conservatives that are wearing the instrument of our Lord's passion and death. You will almost never see them with a crucifix with a corpus on it. Almost never. They're all the same. And if you ask them, do the Tucker Carlson on them. You wear a crucifix. What church do you go to? Oh, it's the Third Bible Church of Main Street. The Third Bible Church of Main Street. When do they have masses? Well, no, they don't have tumors. They're not. No, masses. Yeah, like I said, they don't have tumors. Maybe, I don't know. Do you know someone that has a mass? Maybe you should tell them to get it biopsied. No, I meant the mass. I don't know what you're talking about. Service. Oh, you mean, a service. Oh, okay. Celebration service. So, a celebration. Oh, I can't. I don't know. Spaghetti night, I think, Thursday. Are we really going to be pettifogging today? Please. Yeah, Maggie, you should sigh louder. And then there's this. Now Levin, not satisfied. Now Levin, not satisfied. Not satisfied with calling Sean Davis a Nazi. Not satisfied with going after Tucker Carlson. Not satisfied with whoever else he's attacked. Then went after Colonel Rob Maness. And now I don't know what he said to Maness, because Maness just put a screenshot of Levin saying, it's you big dope, it's in your DNA. And of course, Colonel Maness said, responding that, my DNA has fought in every American conflict since 1776, you dolt. And so have my sons, so the lineage continues here. Now he's going after Bannon here. Bannon thinks it's funny. Steve Bannon is a disgusting fraud. You opposed our great military and commander-in-chief at a time. Let me tell you what happened last night after Trump puts his tweet out, where he says that, okay, look, hey, great news. We got a ceasefire. It'll go into effect in 12 hours here. It'll go into effect 6 hours here. And then there will be no more shooting. And then the 12-day war, well, it'll be over. I think it'll be over. It'll be over. And we'll get to the table and we'll negotiate a deal. We'll make a deal, but Iran won't have any nuclear weapons. They won't have any nuclear, et cetera, et cetera. When he went to bed thinking that there was going to be no action, and then he is awakened to find out that the Iranians, and you have to listen to the audio. Do you have the audio of him saying, I think the Iranians, I think that there was some bad timing, and they let one missile slip, and it didn't hit anything. And then the Israelis retaliated by unloading everything. And I told them no shooting.
Wasn't that the one I played this morning?
Yeah, it is. The one you played this morning. So then he's, this is the one.
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I
You're
guess
not,
was
hey,
fired
Levin's going to throw
overboard
you under the bus
after
next.
the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous. I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
Levin!
Do is play both sides.
I think that Mark Levin needs to. I think Tom Cotton, and Lindsey Graham, and all the rest, Nancy Mace. Dude, did you hear what your president? He said bad thing. He said bad thing. You a bad putty tat. Bad putty tat. He said bad putty tat things twice about Israel. This is not acceptable. Whatever will you do? There was some fireworks earlier today as well, and the Doge subcommittee. I am not going to bore you with the details, but Marjorie Taylor Greene posted them earlier. Here's what I think may be the funniest thing of all day long. So Trump puts this tweet out, this True Social, about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And he says, this is quite possibly the dumbest person that's ever been the dumbest person. Some guy takes it. Oh, you haven't? No, you got to see the Star Wars one. Some guy takes it, and here it is. Tim Young takes it and turns it. Here, it's better to show to read it this way, Maggie. I'll send you the link. Here, play. If we're gonna do it, play. You gonna play me? Hold on.
You had it pulled up.
I do. It's just funny. She doesn't have a government that's drenched in crime and poverty and is rated one of the worst in the world. If it's even rated at all, how dare the mouse tell us how to run the United States of America. We're just now coming back from that radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe, Kamala, and the auto pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take the cognitive test that I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center. As part of my physical, as the doctor in charge said, Trump aced it. I got every answer right. Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets. In the day she never goes to anymore. She better start worrying about her being a primary, other than primarying crying Chuck Schumer. It's just very funny. And then he says, go ahead, impeach me, make my day. As the latest congressional approval ratings are out. The Democrat Party is now at 11%. This is the lowest. Now, the last time they were rated at 14% was the lowest. 11% is now the lowest in the history of the question being asked. Whatever will they do?
You see that?
No, I didn't see anything. What's so funny? Let us all in on the joke. Let us. I'm just watching all this. By the way, we had the version of Trump saying that the Iranians and the Israelis don't know what to do and don't know what the blank to do. And so, that one's funny. Yeah. Well, it's Levin and Lindsey Graham on a couch in silk bathrobes staring at each other, crying. We're not going to get regime change in Iran, and Israel is going to have to go on the road now, Mark. Can you imagine this? It's probably pretty realistic, I think. I don't think that's an exaggeration at all. Here, there's another one. Hold on. Marjorie Taylor Greene says that she axed someone in her Doge committee hearing today. I didn't even get a chance to listen to it, but I opened today's Doge committee hearing with a clear message. Trump created Doge to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. And then she said that she plays a clip of Bill Clinton with the waste, fraud, and abuse line. So I don't have any highlight reels from that, but we do have they don't know what the F they're doing from Trump bleeped out that we can play for you. What else do we have? Well, there was another story that we were, in addition to Levin melting down and losing it, on Colonel Rob Manus. ICE has arrested 11 Iranian nationals in the last 48 hours. We have that. Oh, here's a big one from yesterday, showing the power in the power hour of the press. Sean Ryan is a former CEO, and he's got a podcast. A lot of famous people have appeared, including Trump, have appeared on. He was told a story about something, and he didn't believe it, so he looked it up, and come to find out, the government of the United States of America is still funding the Taliban. So he got word to, I guess it must be his representative, Tim Burchett. And he told Burchett, he goes, do you know that your government, our government, is still funding the Taliban? When Burchett was made aware of this, Burchett said, no way. Looked it up, found out that it was, and then Burchett went to the floor of the House of Representatives with a resolution yesterday, or I think it was actually an act. And I think the audio was on my there it is here. This is what Burchett said yesterday.
Reporting on cash assistance programs, and 3, reporting on the Afghan Fund and the Afghan Central Bank. I'd also like to thank my dear friend Sean Ryan from Middle Tennessee, former Navy SEAL. He brought this to my attention, and my good friend Legend, who also is, he goes by that name because he has a hit out on his life, because he's taken a tough stand. He's an Afghan that fought for America, and he's my friend. And thank you, and I reserve my remaining time.
The gentleman reserves. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 260 as amended? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Without objection, the title is amended.
So you can think...
One, keeping financial and material support out of the hands.
So the title, whatever U.S. code they were talking about, is amended. So the funding for the Taliban is gone. That's a big deal. And the fact that Tim Burchett got it done, and not even a Democrat bothered to voice their opposition, is huge. And again, thanks to Sean Ryan and somebody told Sean, somebody said, dude, you know that we're still funding the Taliban. It might have been Mike Pence. Somebody told Sean, and Sean told Burchett. So you see, sometimes actual citizens can actually get things done through their representatives and the halls of Congress. It's a very unexpected. It doesn't happen very often. But the story on it is the No Tax Dollars for Terrorists Act is what it was called. declares it to be the foreign policy of the United States to oppose the provision of foreign assistance by foreign countries and non-governmental organizations to the Taliban, particularly those countries and organizations that receive United States provided foreign assistance. Well, no more. And as you heard, it was just passed. I want to say that Representative Jonathan Jackson of Illinois noted the measure had bipartisan support. So you heard that there was no opposition to it. That's a great day, and that's a good thing. All right, when we come back from this quick timeout, we'll have updates on all that we have talked about so far. There is a Trump clip out there that I will play for you about Iran that I find most intriguing and interesting. Don't go away.
Ninth year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Magdalene Rose at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Cookin' with the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy. Here's your In the Market report. U.S. stocks closed near session highs on Monday, while oil prices tanked after Iran launched missiles at a U.S. airbase in Qatar, in what appeared to be a limited retaliation for U.S. strikes against Iranian nuclear sites. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.9%. The S&P 500 snapped a 3-day losing streak to gain around 1%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq also rose almost 1%. Oil prices fell as investors assessed the extent of Iran's retaliation. Today is National Patch Day. Without the burden of afflictions, it is impossible to reach the height of grace. The gift of grace increases as the struggle increases. St. Rose of Lima. Our saint of the day is St. John the Baptist. John the Baptist was a contemporary of Christ who was known for evangelization and baptizing of Jesus Christ. John the Baptist was born through the intercession of God to Zachariah and Elizabeth, who were otherwise too old to bear children. According to scriptures, the angel Gabriel visited Elizabeth and Zachariah to tell them they would have a son, and that they should name him John. Zachariah was skeptical, and for this he was rendered mute until the time his son was born and named John, in fulfillment of God's will. When Elizabeth was pregnant with John, she was visited by Mary, and John leapt in her womb. This revealed to Elizabeth that the child Mary carried was to be the Son of God. John instructed his followers to turn to Christ.
Welcome back. The monster, MAGA monster of the midday. Mike Church on the Crusade Radio Network. Welcoming all of you watching or listening. Those of you listening on 990 AM WGSO. Phone works for you guys, too. I don't know. I'm sure in Chalmette they have telephones. And I'm sure in Mid-City and in downtown New Orleans and in Old Metairie they have telephones. Here is the number. Why don't you just try it for poops and giggles and just see if it makes it through the exchange. 844-527-8723. Crusade. You know, it may be the 985 area code. It may, I don't know. I've never actually tried because I know the direct line. In any event, this portion of the program brought to you by Founders Trading Post Store at shop.mikechurch.com. Great deal on a book that shouldn't be a rarity, but it is. It's called The Lost Mandate of Heaven by Jeffrey Shaw, and it's all about the CIA's assassination of Ngo Dinh Vinh and his brother, the duly elected president of South Vietnam. The CIA had to take Ngo Dinh Vinh out because he was opposing the war with North Vietnam, and the then nascent American deep state needed that war desperately. And so they kidnapped him, they held him, he determined that he wasn't going to change his mind, and then they killed him and his brother. So The Lost Mandate of Heaven on sale this week at shop.mikechurch.com. Don't forget the rubs and spices, the Slave of Mary cigars, which are in and fresh, and all the other great books and titles, and so much others, like the Sacred Heart of Jesus flag. All that is there. Same store, shop.mikechurch.com. Thank you in advance for shopping. We've got a couple of sound bites just making the rounds recently. Play the one with Trump on the plane about the Iranian regime change. If you want to see neocons cry, play this one to them.
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, there was. But no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos. And ideally, we don't want to see so much chaos. So we'll see how it does. You know, the Iranians are very good traders, very good business people, and they got a lot of oil. They should be fine. They should be able to rebuild and do a good job. They're never going to have nuclear, but other than that, they should do a great job.
Mr. President, can you imagine Levin's head on a swivel right now, hearing that the Iranians are great businessmen? Let me tell you something, Mr. President, you big dope. Those people are a bunch of Jew-hating killers. They're not good at anything other than killing. No, he said that they're great businessmen and they're great traders. And, you know, they got a lot of oil. They also make these things called Persian rugs. Well, they used to make these things called Persian rugs. That almost sounded downright pro-Iran. If you look at the events of the last 48 hours, you know, so Sunday morning, we all wake up and big show and act of machismo, having dropped 12 to 14. I heard 14. Someone else said 12. I heard 14. 38,000-pound MOP bombs. That's something penetration devices, the 38,000-pound bunker buster, as they call it, on the Iranian nuclear facilities. So that happened Saturday night. Sunday, you get the news, and then they had the Pentagon press briefing, and everybody's like, yeah, Iranian regime change, yes! By yesterday, when there's no regime change and there's no follow-up, and then the Iranians go like, oh, okay, here was our part of the deal. Oops. And they fly 12 of whatever missiles that they did. What's the little town in Qatar called? Hon? I know that the base is the Abad base. And the reason we have air bases in Qatar, in the United Arab Emirates, in Saudi Arabia, and in the region, as they call it, is for the protection of the Israelis from supposedly the Iranians. Of course, it was the Israelis that shot first, and this 12 days ago. So on Sunday you have all the euphoria. Finally, we bombed the Iranians. Regime change is on. Lindsey Graham going to the floor of the Senate, and I want to say congratulations to my friend, President Trump, for his great act of valor and patriotism in bombing the Iranians back to Babylon. The Iranians are now back where they should be, back at the time of Mesopotamia. And it's a great day for America. And thank you, President Trump. Thundered Lindsey Graham. All the other usual suspects took to the Sunday news shows, and now it's time for us to go in and effect regime change. Now that the Trump administration has the Iranian regime hobbled, now it's time to go in and effect a regime change. And I expect that the Trump people are now measuring how they're going to get the special ops and commandos in there and teaming up with the Israelis to get this accomplished. But a whole day passes by and nothing happens. And then yesterday afternoon, the unthinkable happens. The retaliation by the Iranians, which hits nothing. It's a great fireworks show. If you happen to be on the beach in Qatar, what a show. And it literally, that's what it was. And then when that's over, then the neocons then realize they're not getting their regime change. The only way they're going to get it is if their buddies in the IDF are willing to send their boys, their women, their infantry, their landing craft, their navy to go across the Persian Gulf and then go land on Iranian soil and start the invasion. Imagine the temper tantrums. Imagine what must have been going through the mind of bombing Benji Netanyahu, realizing that Trump was not going to deliver the knockout blow, the regime change against the Iranians, so that the installation of the Jewish caliphate could begin. And then I guess, and I still don't know how they thought they were going to accomplish this. I know that the Saudi Arabians don't like the Iranians. I know that because the Iranians are Shia, right? I think they're Shia, and I want to say that the Saudi Arabians are Sunni. I know that a majority part of the Iraqis back in 2002 and 2003 were Sunni, and that in Iran, which is 99% Muslim, they are primarily Shia, right? Because they practice, it's Shia.
Sunni and Shia.
I did the story. We read the story. The guy said that they're the majority Shia. And I guess then, and again, I'm not an expert in.
The majority are Sunni.
Or the majority are Sunni.
With 85%.
How did I get that backwards? I could have sworn that story that we read had, because they don't have Sharia law, they have Shia law or Shia law. In any event, they are either Shia.
Wait, you're right, because they're majorly concentrated in Iran and Iraq.
Okay. The Shias. Okay. And then the Sunnis are partly in Iraq and primarily across the Arabian Peninsula and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and United Arab Emirates and what have you here. And I don't really know the difference between Sunni and Shia. I think that one is probably a more radical nutcase, like the ISIS are Shia. The ones that cut off all the Christians' heads on the beach, and I forget where the beach was. Was it in Libya, or was it in the Sudan, where they executed those men? You know, they marched them out on the beach in their orange jumpsuits, and then they videotaped and they cut all their heads off. These people are those Orthodox people are savages, and that they well, there you go, you got the map right there, and that those are the people that perpetrate those kinds of acts of Muslim orthodoxy here. So there's not supposed to be anything but bloodthirsty savages. But you know, I've been watching walkthroughs on YouTube of people walking through Tehran 2 months ago. I mean, literally 2 months ago. And I'm looking and going like, okay, what are all these chicks doing? What are these women doing on the streets of Tehran without the headscarf on? So somebody asked the question, don't they have a ban on women in public without the headscarf? They do. Apparently, they're not enforcing it the way that they used to. And so, and again, not an apologia for Iran. I'm certainly not going to go vacation there. I have no desire to go there. But when Trump says they have a lot of oil and that they trade, this is exactly what we talked about the other day and what Ron Paul talked about in that debate in 2012. Why don't we talk to these people? Instead of constantly threatening to blow them off the face of the earth or to side with the Israelis to help them do it, why don't we talk to them? And I think that that is part of what you have seen here. Now, you have my version of the now infamous soundbite, the one that I sent you in Signal, right? Because if you don't, then we're going to have a problem. This is now no one's taken the time to bleep this out. I have it. Yeah, there's something that's wrong with our technology. Went like 17 steps forward last week with the new Mac, or this week with the new MacBook, and then 165 steps backward with transferring anything through Signal. So if any of you are out there that are listening and are having the same problem with, I think it's Sequoia that you're running, Signal just runs like garbage on the most recent version of the Mac OS. I mean, like 35, 40, you just saw it. 35, 45-second delays in even opening a simple text file. In any event, this is the one everyone's talking about.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning.
Three times
the one
Israel.
rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the f*** they're doing. Do you understand that?
He walks off. And I'm done. I haven't finished. Okay. Again, I failed in Middle Eastern studies, so I have to rely on people that are saying most of the radicals are Sunni and not Shia. Well, Marketects, you're going to have to explain to me then why the United States is allied with the Sunnis in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, I know all about the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and the House of Saud, and the fact that the House of Saud, and people refuse to admit this, if you want to talk about they came after us at 9/11, we got to go get them. Okay, well, then you want to go get the Saudi Arabians. It was the Saudi Arabians in the House of Saud that were funding the likes of Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. I do know that. But people are saying that, no, the Shias are the ones that are less likely to do this stuff, and the Sunnis are the radical nutcases. And they... no. And all Orthodox Muslims have to agree and live by the creed of the Quran and the fatwa. What's a fatwa? Well, a fatwa is what it's a mafia hit, basically, in Godfather terms. And for example, they have a fatwa still on Salman Rushdie's head. Geert Wieters has a fatwa on him because he has opposed them. All right. Play the Marjorie Taylor Greene soundbite from the hearing today about the trannies. And then we have Al Green. No, not the Al Green of Let's stay together. That different Al Green. The Al Green that got kicked out of the State of the Union address, and then the Zion King, a member of the cult of Ziontology, Mike Johnson, censured him. Not that Al Green, the one with the cane. Well, he filed his petition to impeach Trump today. That's kind of funny. We have that soundbite. And then we have this one.
Ms. DeVito, in your testimony, you talk about so-called failures of DOGE in your opinion. But do you support the federal government funding HHS and NIH studies that promote the genital mutilation of children? Do you support forcing Americans to pay for genital mutilation of children? Yes or no, Ms. DeVito?
Thank you for your question. I think we all agree that the government should work for people.
No, I asked you, do you support genital mutilation of children and the American people having to pay for it? That's a yes or no question.
I think government research is responsible for all sorts of innovations that we enjoy
So you do,
today.
so for the record, you do support the American people paying for top and bottom surgeries of children.
I think
cutting off the breast of young girls, teenage girls, and castrating teenage boys. You support the American people paying for that.
I think government research is incredibly important.
That's not research, Ms. DeVito. That's mutilating kids' bodies before they're old enough to vote, before they're old enough to join the military, before they're old enough to even be adults. That's what you're saying the American people should pay for. Just so you know, Ms. DeVito, and I'm very proud to announce that I have a bill called Protect Children's Innocence Act that will criminalize sex changes on children, and that bill will see a vote on the House floor, and I look forward to my Republican colleagues and hopefully Democrats that come to their senses voting yes for that bill, because it's absolutely repulsive and disgusting, and America voted against that this past election.
Thank you, Marjorie. I want to talk to you about, let's dive deep here, this portion of the Deep Thoughts. Founders Pass membership service. Get you one today at crusadechannel.com/join. That means that you can download all my podcasts, including the entirety of the 4 hours a day of this show. And you'll get great benefits, and there are going to be a lot more of these. A lot more interviews are going to be cut up like this. You'll get great interviews like my interview with Kyle Seraphin, former FBI agent whistleblower. Part 1 is free to the public. If you want Part 2 and Part 3, the other hour and 10 minutes, you're going to have to get a Founders Pass membership to get it. Go to crusadechannel.com/join and sign up for as little as $2.88 a month, and it's right there. crusadechannel.com/join. You get the premium stream. You get a permanent, always on discount in the Founders Trade and Post store. So many other benefits. You get the Crusader Stadium chat room, which is a troll-free zone most of the time. And then you get all these podcast downloads going all the way back to 2011 from the Mike Church Show and my many, many audio features, and so much, too much to tell you about. It's worth the price of admission, and you support true independent media, not a member of the Malachian satanic media or the neocon right, the Fox News media industrial complex. Can you do that for a brother and a sister and 9 other people that work very hard at this endeavor? $2.88 a month is the minimum to get in. crusadechannel.com/join. And thank you in advance. I'm going to start reading the names of new members and thanking them out loud personally as an incentive. On the subject of Islam, quickly, I'd never heard of this book until Kevin Gutzman told me about it in 2009, 2010, maybe even earlier than that. I still have it. It's in the library of books that are in storage. But this is a great book. It's called The Decline of Eastern Christianity Under Islam. It's written by an author whose pen name was Bat Yor. Bat Yor's real name is Giselle Littman. She wrote this book, The Decline of Eastern Christianity Under Islam, to cover the rise of Mohammedanism from the middle of the 9th century until the start of the 20th, and what it had done to Christendom and to Eastern Christianity. And the book is shocking because it has so much history in it, and there's so many things that most people won't know. It's where I learned what Wahhabism is what I learned what Diemitude is, It's what I learned what the jizya tax was. It's what I learned about taqiyya, which is the Muslim practice of lying. It's what I learned about the satanic verses, which is the Quran. It's what I learned about what the intent of the caliphate was and still is. What you have to understand is be grateful that there are Muslims or people that say that they're Islamic that are not Orthodox. Because if they are Orthodox, they're like required to promote and then for you have to admit it first, and then you have to basically sign off on it, and you have to sign your life away to live it, love it, learn it, or know it. What is called the caliphate. What's the caliphate? It's the conversion of all the infidels to the religion of the Prophet Muhammad. And yes, they will convert you by the sword, or they will kill you. Another thing that they will allow you to do, and I learned all about it in Pat Yor's book, which is it's a long book because there's a lot of history in it. Okay, the 3 ways that you can live in a Muslim country if you're not one. And these are primary ways now. These aren't foolproof. First way is you live as a practicing Orthodox Muslim. Second way is you live as a non-practicing Orthodox Muslim. They'll let you do that. You're looked down upon, and you don't get any of the favors like getting nominated to the parliament or whatever. The third way is you can live as an infidel. They will allow you to live as an infidel if you agree to the Diemitude. And you agree to the jizya tax. What's that? That's to say that, okay, well, you'll let me live here in this Middle Eastern or this Persian paradise or whatever you want to call it. That is the middle of Iran at the base of the Himalayan mountains. You know, the climate is supposed to be beautiful and all that. And you'll let me live here and you won't kill me, but I got to pay the tax. And the tax is the Diemitude. The practice is called Diemitude. The tax is called the jizya. And if you agree to the jizya, then they will let you live. The other way that they will let you live there as an infidel is as a slave. Yes, if you want to snuff out the remainder of slavery, it is primarily practiced in Muslim countries. The Muslims have no issue whatsoever with slavery. Almost all slaves, though, and you'll find in the Muslim world, are either atheists or agnostics or whatever, or Christians. This is what the Crusades were fought over. This is politically incorrect here now, but this is the truth. I'm not supposed to tell you this. But when Pope Urban II authorized the First Crusade, he authorized, and I believe there's a papal bull that went along with it, he authorized the liberation of, I forget the number, I want to say it was like 250,000, 250 some odd thousand or whatever the number was, of Christians that are being held captive along the way to the Holy Land till you get down to Israel. You know, there was a movie that was made by about the sacking of Jerusalem and taking back the whole land, the Holy Land, for Christendom. And it was directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott should never be forgiven for this. Don't ever grant him any quarter unless he converts, and he hasn't. This is the great director of Aliens and the Gladiator movies and all that. Guy is a complete and total nutcase. Ridley made the movie to show the sympathetic side of the Muslims that held Jerusalem at the time. True story. So, wow, an hour has flown past. Okay. Thank you all for listening to the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network. We need your support, please. You can also make a one-time donation. You can do it today. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. Join the Founders Pass membership service. You will not regret it. CrusadeChannel.com/join. Shop in the store at MikeChurch.com or shop.MikeChurch.com. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless you and Mary keep you.